Hello YouTube, this is Frugal and welcome to a Frugal's Hangar, which I've not done in quite a long time. Let me get the disclaimer out of the way. This is a Frugal's Hangar. What that means is I'm going through my virtual hangar, looking at stuff that I've not spent a lot of time or any time with. Mistakes will be made. Procedures will not be followed to the letter. This might not be the best video you professional pilots have ever seen. Bear that in mind, okay? It's a bit of fun. But I did have a number of requests to bring this series back, so here it is. And this little beauty is the Real Air Simulations Lancair. See, I said it right that time. Lancair Legacy version 2. And I cannot wait to fly it. I have not flown it at all yet. In fact, as I say that, I just remembered I haven't even set my controls up for this, so I am probably going to cut the video after we do this little external tour and set my controls up, and then we'll resume as normal. But anyway, Lancair Legacy. The Legacy is pretty much a kit plane. It's pretty cheap to get, relatively speaking. Cheap in aircraft terms is very, very relative, but it's relatively cheap to get. You can build it yourself if you're mechanically inclined, and it's a bit of a Ferrari, really. It's got an incredible turn of speed, a very high rate of climb. It's actually aerobatic. You can do loops and rolls and all that good stuff with it, and being from Real Air Simulations, it is apparently stunningly realistic. Now, in case you've not watched other videos of mine and you don't know which companies I'm a big fan of, I am a big fan of Real Air Sims. I think Rob at Real Air Sims, who does a lot of the work on these aircraft, is a genius really in terms of doing flight models and aerodynamic modeling and building add-ons for FSX and Prepared. This is actually in Prepared. The aircraft is also available for FSX. For you FSX fans, there is no difference other than some pretty graphical effects, really. Okay, I'm just filming in Prepared because it's easier. But anyway, Real Air Sims, what they typically do, I actually think of them and put them in the same category very much as A2A in terms of the attention to detail that Rob in particular puts into his aircraft. You have very, very dynamic sound sets and proper stereo sounds, so you don't get nasty flanging that you get on other aircraft add-ons as you change the view and move from side to side. The sounds are dynamic, so as I yaw the aircraft in flight, you'll hear the wind against the airframe. Depending on how much or how violently I yaw, that sound of the wind will change. The aerodynamic modeling is supposed to be, and again, I haven't flown this yet, but I have read through the manual. The aerodynamic modeling, as always with a Real Air Simulations aircraft, is absolutely sublime. You can slip it, you can slide it, you can do proper stalls and proper spins in this, and they claim this is the first aircraft for FSX or Prepared that lets you do a rudderless spin. Now, one of the characteristics of the Lancair Legacy is when you stall it, if you maintain back pressure, first of all, the nose will drop very rapidly, and then it will drop a wing. And if you maintain back pressure, it will actually go into a spin. And there is some debate, apparently, among Lancair Legacy owners as to whether that spin is recoverable. Thankfully, we're in a sim, so we can find out. I think it should be, if we get high enough first and follow all the recommended steps. There are two versions of this. When you go and get this and install it, you can change the engine type between normally aspirated or turbo. I'm using the normally aspirated, but it's still got a bit of a rate of turn of speed to it, which is going to be phenomenal. And by the way, the scenery, this is Meigs. Welcome home, long-time Microsoft fans, Microsoft Flight Simulator fans. This is Meigs Field. That was closed some time ago. Let's not get into the politics of why or who did it, but it was closed some time ago and as a result has not been flyable in FSX or Prepared. Don't know what the nasty graphics stuttering is all about. Hopefully that goes away relatively soon. I'm going to presume it's EasyDock interfering with stuff, but this is Meigs Field in Chicago, the birthplace of many a virtual pilot, and that's where we're going to be flying. Let's jump into the cockpit on this. Everything here is configurable. So I've got the standard Prepared GPS 500 here. I've got my various radio and autopilot stacks down here. And in the configuration tool that you get, you can actually drag and drop and reorder all these things, which is great. Also supports the Flight 1 GTN 650 and GTN 750. If you want to be completely hardcore about everything, you can plug those in as well, which is great. I'm actually trying to get hold of the GTN 650 and 750. If I do manage to get hold of them both, then I'm hoping to do a tutorial series on exactly how to use them. which is going to be cool. Anyway, look at the modeling in here. Very, very detailed. Lots of smudges and swirls on the screens and fingertips. This is a well-used and well-loved aircraft. I've got bloom set a little bit high and prepared, which is why things are kind of glowing at you. Get over it. Partly also the sun is behind us right now, which is not helping. But the attention to detail in here, the modeling that has gone into this is absolutely amazing. Look, mesh net for the cargo. Stop it flying around as we do our loops and our rolls and all sorts of lovely stuff there. I keep on messing up with my mouse button there. I do apologize. Anyway, like I said, and like I warned you, I'm going to cut the video here while I go and bind all my controls up. Then I have the normal procedures checklist next to me. We're going to try and work through the checklist. Then we will taxi out over here, take off from Meigs Field. First time I've done that in about 10 years. I'm going to take off from Meigs Field, fly around, look at Chicago very briefly, and then try and land. And obviously we'll do some stalls and spins and see how this aircraft performs, and does it indeed live up to the hype. I expect it probably does. See you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. I think I've got it. I couldn't bind the spoilers or the flaps for some reason. Let me show you what they look like. I'm going to change the view down here a little bit. There's two switches in the cockpit, spoilers or speed brakes here and flaps here. And look, they're click and hold for the flaps, and the spoilers are really an on-off switch. Now I was hoping to bind a switch on my X55 throttle to manage those, but could not. I'm not sure why. I will look into that at a different point in time. So I'm looking at my trusty iPad here, and pre-flight cockpit checks. Hang on, let's just check that my brakes are reversed. My brakes are reversed. Be right back. Welcome back. I've de-reversed my brakes. It's there. So brakes on, brakes off, and left, right there. Make sure the joystick is good. Left and right, up and down. That is all working. My throttle's good. Proper mixture are all fabulous as well. Okay, good. Let's get rid of the menu bar. We don't need that. Okay. So, pre-flight cockpit checks. Parking brake set. All switches should be off. Now again, I've got my bloom set a little bit high, so it's hard to read all these things, but trust me, they're all off. In fact, the bloom is ridiculously high, isn't it? Sorry about that. In fact, let me go and change that. I'll be right back. That's a little bit better, isn't it? Now we have some contrast. So all my switches are off. My landing gear switch should be in the down position. Again, we'll get rid of the menu bar, which is all gone. Landing gear switch should be in the down position, which it now is. Now I can turn the battery switch on and we can monitor the VM1000C, which is this, which is a digital readout of our engines and everything else. It's going to go through a startup animation. Look, make sure that this warning light here doesn't start flashing. I think I can pop this out. No, I can't, but that's fine. Oh, beep, beep. Warning light is flashing, but that's fine. I think it's still going through its startup procedure. Or no, it is flashing at us because it should be. Nothing is running right now. Good. Fuel quantity. Let's check our fuel quantity. Our fuel quantity is 0. I'll be right back. Welcome back. You'll notice we've now got fuel here, 75% in the left and the right in fuel tanks in the wings, so we're all good there. Like I said, Frugal's hangar. Mistakes will be made, but I'm trying to manage them. Annunciator warning lights, we're going to test them. Yes, the test worked just fine, and the altimeter needs to be set. Now I'm not using ATIS or Active Sky Next, so I don't have ATIS. I'm going to press the B key. That will set our altimeter, which is 2992. Before starting checklist, canopy should be closed and locked. It is closed and locked. Harness and rudder pedals. My seat is not going to slide around the office. I'm good. My rudder pedals are at my feet. I'm good. We already checked the flight controls. We have free and full movement. Circuit breakers over here are all pressed in, and our fuel selector now should go to both. Let's just make sure that it actually moves. It does, with a wonderful sound. Look. Or listen. Beautiful. Okay, now the tricky bit. Engine start. Fuel boost pump. Now, in the real Legacy, the fuel boost pump is apparently annoyingly loud, and Real Air Simulations tried to make this one annoyingly loud too. Luckily, it's not going to be running for too long. I haven't tried it yet, but apparently if they've done a good job, it is going to be crazy annoying loud. Yeah, that's going to go through your head. Throttle should be 1/4 of an inch open. Prop controls should be fully forward and mixture fully forward. That's actually back to front. That's prop, obviously. That is mixture. Obviously, they are both fully forward. Starter switch now needs to be turned all the way around to start, and then we release it when the engines fire. So I think I can grab this. What is going on with this switch? Whoa. Okay. There, there, there. Ready? Start. Clear. It did start. Alright, give it a bit more power. Just let this thing warm up a little bit. We are on the parking brake, so I'm not too worried about leaping across the runway. Starter switch now needs to be turned to both magnetos, which it is, and the fuel boost pump, the annoying sound, can go off, which is that one. After start checklist, the alternator switch needs to go on. I don't see the alternator switch. Uh-oh. Fairly sure we're going to need that. I can see alt air. Oh, alternator. It was already on. It shouldn't have been on. It's to the left of the battery switch right there. That was a mistake. Oil pressure now should have risen or been rising, which it has. There, oil PSI. Good. Voltage and amperage check. Now again, I am not an expert in this aircraft. I'm going to guess it is as simple as just monitoring stuff down here. No, there's the temperatures. I don't, at this point, know how to check that. Don't write in with helpful comments. I will find out, just not right now. Lights as required. So let's put on the nav lights right now. We can turn on the panel lights as well and make everything bright. And we have a dimmer here. It's a brand new technology that they're very proud of, is the backlit dimmer on these gauges. And I think understandably proud. Look how smooth that is. That's a thing of beauty. I'm going to turn the panel lights off. I think the dimmer might work independently of that. It does not. Good to know. Good to know. Engine readings should be within limits. They are. Manifold pressure is 13.9. RPM is 1425. Everything is in the green, and everything is looking really quite lovely. Avionics master now goes on. I should have checked that these things were turned off before I did that, and I did not do that check. Bad frugal, no cookie. Anywho, that's all good. We'll turn on that one. Let's turn on that one. And we are going to go VFR today, so we'll tune 1200. I'm not sure the procedure at Meigs Field. I'm not entirely sure what I have that set to. I have my my Easy Dock, settings all set up. I'm going to put this onto ground. In fact, I'm going to put this onto on. We'll leave that. We'll turn that on. We'll turn that on. I think we're all good. Beautiful displays. Absolutely beautiful. Well, actually, let's not. Let me carry on doing what I'm doing. Avionics master is on. Radios and GPS all on and set as required. Warm up at 1000 to 1200 RPM. A little bit high. We've been warming up over that, so we're going to drop it down there in the middle of 1000 and 1200, which is, of course, 1100. If I can get it, that'll work. Notice the shake here. Nice little shake and a shimmy, which is great. And if we pop my view down, look at these needles bouncing. They are alive. Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful attention to detail. Absolutely adore this aircraft already. Fabulous. Okay. Taxi. Parking brake release. Brakes check during the taxi. Instruments check. And then we have the engine run up. I'm going to perform the run up all the way down the end there, I guess, after we've taxied. Now, you have an option on this to use a free castering nose wheel, or to have the nose wheel turn with the rudder pedals. I've actually set it up as free castering, which means that in order to turn I need to use differential braking, so that should be fun. I don't think I have taxi lights here. I think I just have landing lights. So the nav lights are on. We're going to turn on the landing lights and use those as our taxi lights. By the way, this has speed brakes. Let me turn the speed brakes on. Oh, hello. What happened? Not a lot. I think I turned them off and the sound was a little out of sync. Look at that! Speed brakes! That's a thing of beauty. No, I did bind switches. I don't think the switch works. Oh, it does work! Not really though. Okay, I gotta mess with that later. My flaps are working. They weren't earlier. Okay. So I can mess with those separately. Right now we'll use the mouse on the cockpit. So let us knock the parking brake off. And we'll try to taxi. I'm going to turn track IR back on now. Good. So parking brake off. Shouldn't need a lot of power to get moving. It is a beast of a powerful aircraft. And it doesn't. We are gently rolling forward. Which is great. So I'm going to apply some left brake here. And this feels great. It feels very, very natural. We are picking up a bit of speed here. Love it. Oh, real air sims. And notice now the sun is not directly behind us. And that beautiful instrument panel comes into full display. And it does look amazing and beautiful. And I love it already. Yes, this is going to be an incredibly biased video. I am a huge fan of real air. And unless they did something hideous like give me a Dago pink aircraft made of 2 polygons, then really they can do no wrong. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll try to remain a little objective as we take this up into the air shortly. I'm going to use this black spot here, which is not realistic, as my run-up area. So I'm trying to apply equal pressure to both brakes so we don't slalom all over the taxiway. And I'm going to put the parking brake on. Run up. Parking brake should be set. Throttle to 1500 RPM. Beautiful sound. Propeller and governor check operation. So we're going to do a prop check here. Would have expected to hear a different sound doing that, and I'm not hearing it. But okay, we'll let that go. Magnetos check, no more than 50 RPM difference on those. So let's go over here. I gotta figure this out. So left mag dropped about 20, right mag stayed at the same place, both mags, and up it comes. Good. Engine readings are within limits. Everything is green, nothing is red. At high density altitude, lean for best power for takeoff, which I'm not at high density altitude, we're at sea level. Throttle goes back to idle, and we're going to set the trim for takeoff. Or are we? Okay, I don't have my trim button set. I'll be right back. Okay, more control binding issues. I do have my trim button set. Oh, they are. It is actually moving. It's just very, very slow. Okay, good. And I did, while I was away just then, rebind my buttons. Now we have power to flaps and spoilers. So here's my spoilers. Fabulous. And here's my flaps. I can let go. Please work. What's going on there? Oh, I need to knock it into the center. No, I don't. Yeah, that's not going to work. Because you can just press and move this a little bit. Like so. This is going to be a little tricky to work with, the way it's currently set up. By the way, this is an angle of attack indicator, which is very useful for landing. Anyway, we're all done. So we're going to release the brakes again. And we're going to go all the way out to the runway. Which is going to be runway 18 today. So a bit more power. And as we get out here, I'm going to presume I've got clearance, so strobes can go on. We'll put the pitot heat on. I should use a little bit of flap here. Whoa, no, that's not going to work, like I said. Good. And we'll line up and take off from Meigs Field. So, before takeoff, autopilot check that it's off. It is. Propeller control should be full forward, which it is. Mixture should be full rich, which it is. Canopy is secured. Harness is tight, and then takeoff. Set takeoff power before the brakes release. Release the brakes, accelerate. Max takeoff power is 29.7 HG manifold pressure and 2700 RPM. So let's line up. Everything is good. Power coming up. No more than 29.7, which will be there. I don't want to go much more than that. There, let's go. And the takeoff roll should take actually no more than about 14 seconds.
On taxiway, on
beep,
taxiway.
Beep. I do have a warning light, I don't know why. Engine. Alright, we'll come off the power a little bit there. And we are up. Gear up. Flaps up. And we're flying. It's very tricky. Let's do a little circuit and we'll keep on climbing on up. It's a very high performance aircraft. It will climb like a freight train. It's not pressurized, although you do have oxygen, and they do simulate hypoxia, and they simulate oxygen flowing through the oxygen system. So you can actually run out of oxygen and then get hypoxia, which is kind of cool. As always with real air simulations aircraft, the turn coordinator actually works. So I'm trying to feed in left rudder here and coordinate this turn. I'm going to bring the power back to 24.6. Prop RPM is okay for now. In fact, I will bring it back a little bit. Let's try to square it up. That's good. And there's Meigs Field, the iconic Meigs Field. Birthplace of many a virtual pilot's career. I'm just going to keep on climbing. Get a good view of the Chicago skyline here. And I gotta tell you, it feels a little bit of a handful already. The aircraft just wants to get away. I'm just trimming it. Speed is coming up. This aircraft really does want to fly. And I'm kind of restraining it right now. While we climb, let's just pop outside and take a look. Oh, beautiful aircraft. Beautiful scenery. Good job, Orbx. Obviously, as I said, this is Meigs Field, a recreation of the iconic airfield that was recently released. I covered it in last week's news show, in fact. It was released actually some time ago for FSX Steam Edition. It's only recently been made available to non-FSX Steam Edition peoples, like those using Classic FSX and anybody using Prepared, as I currently am. Going to keep climbing. Going to take this up to about 6,000 feet. And then we can mess with leaning the engine a bit and see how that all comes together. And while we climb on up here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to yaw the aircraft to the left. Listen for the wind hitting the airframe. Isn't that cool? And it's subtle as well, so if I gently yaw to the right, there's a little bit of noise as I feed in more rudder. A lot more noise. Wonderful stuff. As with the turbine Duke, you do get flap flutter as well. You can break the flaps by leaving them extended too long. When I drop the gear down, you'll hear a low-pitched rumble whistle from the wind passing through the struts. I'm trying to lean this a little bit now. We're at 4,500 feet. And as I lean it, I can hear the engine. Whoop, too much. Good. Prepared and FSX, in the way they handle leaning of an engine, tend to be a little over-exaggerated. And they do claim in the manuals for this that they've compensated for that, and it is not over-exaggerated in this aircraft. So I'm going to roll this around to the left now, feeding in left rudder a little bit too prematurely there. Let's see if we can get a standard rate turn, which it looks like we can. So now the trick is going to be pulling back on the stick, bringing the nose up. Might have my graphic settings a little bit too high. I'm seeing some stutters here from the phenomenally detailed Orbx scenery. Beautiful stuff. Flying so close to a bunch of water doesn't help either. Alright, so although we're not in the best place to do it because we are over a densely populated area, let's pull up to about 5,000 feet. I'm going to put the prop back in. I'm going to go mixture rich. And I'm going to come off the power. And we'll test the stall characteristics of this Real Air Simulations Lancair Legacy. Hit a wind. Pulling back on the stick. Pulling back on the stick. Still pulling back on the stick. Speed is dropping quite dramatically. I'm still coming off the throttle. I am off the throttle. There's the vibration. Pulling back, pulling back. Quite a savage nose drop. I'm still pulling back. Not feeding in rudder. And there it is. FSX and Prepar3d's first ever rudderless spin. Insane. Okay. Let's try to stabilize this. A little bit of left rudder. Push forward on the stick. Oh, you can hear the wind against the airframe. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Alright, now I cut the video there because I was getting concerned about those frame rates, so I dropped them down to a lower setting than I normally use for filming because Real Air Sims aircraft with their ultra high fidelity aero modeling actually like a really good frame rate. So I'm happy to turn the graphics down a little bit, especially the autogen, to improve my frame rate for the next part of our video, which will be to turn back towards mixed field and we'll try some very simple and basic aerobatics. So can I keep on climbing up and try to establish about 1,000 feet per minute rate of climb? I'm going to square up the prop with the power. That'll do it. Turn back over here. Let that speed come up. There's 4,000 feet. And we'll roll out. And I guess first things first, we'll try a little snap roll. So a bit more power, nosing up, and then full right aileron. Beautiful sound of the wind on the airframe. Lost a bit of height there. Let's nose up a bit more this time to compensate. Wonderful stuff. So that works. Let's try a basic barrel roll. Many people don't know what a barrel roll is. I'm not even sure I do in terms of what an instructor would teach you, but nose up. And then pulling back on the stick, we're going to roll, keep on pulling back, and draw a circle with the nose in the air. Wonderful stuff. Nice barrel roll. And the aircraft felt very much alive doing that. Let us try and be a little bit cocky now. So full power. Let's put the prop all the way in this time. Get some speed. Lots of speed, approaching the limits now, and gently, we don't want to black out. It does simulate blackouts as well as hypoxia. Watching my speed. There's the horizon, and as we come on over, we'll kill the power. Follow this loop all the way through. And then re-establish the aircraft at just over 4,000 feet, and we're good. Nice! A lot of fun. And then having full IFR instrumentation in here and the ability to use things like the Flight 1 GTN 650 and 750 means, of course, that this is also an aircraft that you can use for fairly long and detailed flights, which is great. Just trying to trim this. I'm going to keep it level. And see how the aircraft performs hands off. So I think I have it trimmed now. Yep. Alright, so I'm going to let go of the joystick here. Feet off the pedals. Pretty nice. It's moving around a little bit, but not a great deal. Just watching those needles there. Lovely. I like this aircraft. It's a simple aircraft to fly. It's not particularly hard to fly, but I think if you're a pilot that wants to practice things like IFR flight, maybe get on Pilot Edge and practice your procedures there, this is an aircraft that's going to get out of your way and let you do that without having to worry too much about things breaking and getting a little bit too intricate with managing the aircraft. Although all that stuff is simulated, it does do a very good job of simulating how the aircraft behaves and how it performs and all that stuff. Alright, mixture rich. Our landing lights are still on. I'm going to go off the power now. We're going to start slowing down. Now it does recommend in the manual that you get a hang of the aircraft, flying it without the spoilers, you know, trying to do your approaches without the spoilers and really learn about speed management. Obviously in one little first impressions Frugal's hangar video I don't have time to do that, so I am going to throw the spoilers out and see what happens. Now. Oh, you can hear the wind. And they are having a noticeable effect on our speed, which is dropping. Lovely stuff. Down to 2,000 feet. Speed's still dropping. We have quite a rate of descent right now. Nearly 3,000 feet per minute rate of descent and slowing. That's outstanding. Alright, let's level off here. Speed is going to come down way more dramatically now. Let's turn in towards Meigs. Bit of back pressure. Trying to keep the nose up, bleed a bit more speed, and as we come around here, first stage of flaps, I hope. Speed well down now, gear down. Listen for the rumble of the wind going through the struts. You hear it, very subtle. Actually, that was full flaps. I've really got to sort out my key bindings. I'll trim this. We have quite a savage rate of descent. And now, as the aircraft slows, feeling very fluid, very much alive, very much a handful. John Paul, I hope you add this aircraft to FSI panel. It's going to be a lot of fun for practicing all different kinds of approaches in different conditions at different locations. Oh my goodness. Speed brakes are still up, that's okay. Managing my power here. My angle of attack is a little bit off. Not crazy, but it could be better. I'll fly over the parking lot here at Meigs Field. There's my texture shimmering again. Need to look into that. But I'm not going to because I need to reinstall Prepared anyway. I'm going to put in the new update that recently came out and see what that's all about. Oh, it's going to be hard. Let's not.
On taxiway, on taxiway, on taxiway.
Now obviously, I'm not on taxiway. I'm on a runway. Now obviously that's RAS. It's not included with the aircraft. I have RAS installed because of the jets. Try to slow this down without slaloming, see how our brakes do. Come on now, overheating a little bit. Oh! Right pressure only now. We'll bring the flaps up, bring the spoilers up. My gosh. What a beautiful plane. Lots of fun. Now, I bought this. It was not sent to me. I bought it because, as I said, I'm a huge fan. And as I said in the news show, I was very much looking forward to flying it. I haven't been let down. I'm going to spend a lot of time with this. You guys have been asking me to restart the Pilot Edge videos. Honestly, that service scares the crap out of me, but I will. I will restart it and I'll try my I ratings. And I think I'm going to be using this aircraft with the Flight 1 GTN 650 and 750 installed. So I'm looking forward to spending a lot of time in this. I've also been asked quite a lot, when am I going to do the aging videos on the 828 Comanche? I am going to do them, but of course, with Prepared updating fairly recently and then updating again, and I need to install that, that wipes out my aircraft history. So there's that, but I will be starting that series fairly soon. I'm going to kind of use that aircraft as the Frugal Vlogs aircraft so I can just fly around and idly chat with you guys whilst putting some hours on that beautiful beast. Let's pop outside as we turn this around. Oof. Now, as I said, free car string, so if I turn my rudder, you can see my rudder turns but the wheel doesn't. I need to apply brakes. That then leads to that nose wheel turning. Beautiful. Alright, let me refer to my checklist once more. My iPad locked itself. Refer to my checklist and we're going to shut this down. So parking brake needs to be set. The battery needs to be checked. Again, I don't know how, so that's okay. Avionics off. Well, I'm not just going to turn the avionics off. We will turn all these switches off, obviously, and do things correctly. There. Don't know if I can turn that one off. There. And there. So, avionics now can go off. Throttle needs to go to idle. Fuel boost pump needs to be off, which it is. Mixture goes to idle cutoff. And then our starter switch runs all the way down to off. And then the battery goes off. Presumably the alternator goes off at this point as well. That's not in the checklist. As always, my name is Frugal. Thank you so very much for watching. This was the Real Air Simulations Lancair Legacy version 2. I highly recommend it. It's about $35. You need to buy either for Prepared or for FSX. I obviously brought a Prepared one. The two aircraft are exactly the same, other than differences per sim. So graphical differences here in Prepared that you won't get in FSX. But it doesn't matter. If you're an FSX pilot, this aircraft is good for you. If you're a Prepared pilot, this aircraft is great for you. That's it. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.